Welcome to the daily insights that matter. We begin today's DITM by talking about India's wholesale inflation, which is eased to a 11-month low of 12.41% in the month of August. India's wholesale inflation fell to the lowest since September 2021, led by the broad-based decline in prices of most commodities. Inflation, as measured by the Wholesale Price Index, stood at 12.41% in August 2022 compared to 13.93% in the month of July 2022, according to the data released by Ministry of Commerce and Industry on Wednesday. Now, this is the third straight month of decline in the Wholesale Price Index. The Consumer Price Index, however, rose to 7% in the month of August as compared to 6.71% in the month of July. We've covered the details in the previous DITMs on the Consumer Price Index as well. Now, before we get into the numbers, it's important to understand the distinction between the WPI and the CPI. The WPI calculates the average change in the wholesale prices of goods, whereas the CPI calculates the average change in retail prices of goods and services. WPI only considers changes in the prices of goods, whereas CPI considers changes in the prices of both goods and services. WPI gives more weight to the manufactured goods, whereas CPI gives more weightage to the food items. Now, the marked decline in the WPI inflation in the month of August was driven by a drop in fuel prices, with fuel and power inflation falling to 33.67% from 43.75% in July. Sequentially, the index of fuel and power group was down by 4.8% from July. Meanwhile, the other two major groups of WPI, the primary articles and manufactured products, both saw their indices rising by 0.6% and 0.1% on a month-on-month basis. Now, as the gap between the WPI and the CPI narrows, lower input costs will be used by firms to offset the ongoing margin squeezes. While firms will be reluctant to pass on the benefits of the falling global commodity prices to retail consumers just yet, they will start doing so as the trend gathers pace going forward. Now, the retail investors account for more than half of the mutual fund industry's assets. The assets under management of retail investors investing via the mutual fund route has risen above the 20 lakh crore mark for the first time, and it now accounts for over 50% of the overall investments in the mutual funds collectively. According to data provided by AMFI, 50.6% of the mutual fund industry's AUM of 39.5 lakh crores was by investments made by retail investors. In April 2020, following the COVID-19 outbreak in the country, the retail assets accounted for less than 40% of the AUM. Since then, there has been a sustained rise in retail flows into the mutual fund schemes amidst a surge in the equity markets. Individual investor assets today have jumped 2.2 times, even as the overall industry assets have grown by 68% in the same period. Now, while we've been talking about financialization of savings being a big structural theme for India, which will keep the equity markets afloat with ample liquidity, more and more retail investors are now taking the mutual fund route for investing, and this is testimony to that very fact. While the trend seems to have picked up steam, we expect it to continue going forward as investors are looking for more and more ways to get better returns on their savings rather than parking them in traditional assets. So what does all of this news mean for you? The wholesale price-based inflation easing for a third consecutive month in August is a positive sign with the global commodity prices easing. This will have an indirect positive impact on you. The retail mutual fund assets rising to the highest level is testimony to the fact that more and more investors are indeed looking for avenues for financialization of their savings. This will have a direct positive impact on you. Now, in our efforts to bring you the insights that truly matter, this is Raj Mehta signing off, wishing you and your loved ones the very best. Thank you.
Did you like watching this video? Then download our app Informed Investor to watch more such informative and interesting videos.